I just want to make music that make people who don't fit in perfectly beautiful, and that you will feel that you're not so alone, that there are other people like you around the world that are going through what you're going through. And hopefully some song from my album will brighten up someone's day, and that's all I could wish for.
Ghost Coat Magazine welcomes in punk rock legend, and I do mean that, Inge Johansson of the new band Gatuplan, but you probably know him from the many projects you've had over the years, including International Noise Conspiracy, Against Me, and others. How are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. It's so nice talking to you, Keith. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. This is really your whole career, the music you've always made, and especially this new record, speaks to themes that are very personal and important to me. I think, as much as we all love, punk and all these forms of music that are very aggressive, it's important not to lose the meanings of things. And we're in a very chaotic time in the world. And I love that this far into your career, you still have like your fist in the air, and you're still like, just fighting for people and talking about important topics. And like the message is just as important as the music all these years later. And I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I believe that maybe when I started out doing punk music when I was a teenager, and when I got into this wonderful music and started playing myself, I really thought that we would change the world, that we would with this music we would be in the forefront, and we would be the vanguard of the revolution and all that. It didn't happen. And I mean, unfortunately, not yet. But music has at least changed my life to a better place, and made, I hope so, made me a better person, and overall contributed to more positives than negatives in my life. And just the fact that you and I are talking now is just proof in itself that music brings people from all around the world together. And I hope that comes through in my new album, that that there's like a positive and uplifting general feeling about what I'm doing, because that's something that I've tried to portray and try to project, and that's something that I'm in need of right now as a person.
Right. We all need that kind of positive change. And I know it's hard and it's very easy to be cynical.
Yeah.
And, I think back to past interactions I've had with people like, oh, the only people who ever changed the world were like the hippies. I don't think they changed the world that much. I think they had awesome drugs and sex, and they didn't do
Yeah.
much else after that. But like the idea was good. So I think if
Yeah.
you start with a good idea, maybe something can happen. I think it's better to open up people's minds. At the very least, we're having the conversation, these musical themes and these album themes that keep coming back again through your music and others. I think that's, at least it helps spur the conversation and open up minds, even if real change takes a long time, like a glacier.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all in need of like the connection that music can give people right now, because especially like I was living in the US. I live in Sweden now. I'm back in Sweden, but I lived in the US for a few years, and I love it there. And I always been felt very connected to the United States because of music and because of culture and my friends and my experiences there. But I know that the pandemic hit a lot of people very hard in the US and changed reality. Even though we're still living in a capitalist society, a lot of people, you know, they lost their jobs, their way to make a living. They even lost like friends or family. And you were encouraged to work at home, but if you're like a bus driver, or you clean a hospital, or you're a nurse, or you work in daycare for kids, you couldn't work at home. And we got totally like isolated from each other, and became very like victimized towards ideas of like, like negative conspiracy theories and racism and whatever came out of that, like, how the far right capitalized a lot on what was going on. And I feel like we're now, as as human beings, even though like over here in Europe, like, yeah, perhaps we weren't hit as hard as you guys in the US, because over here we have, at least in Sweden, a semi-functioning welfare state and a social security that helped a lot of people. But now I feel like we're in this phase of like rebuilding ourselves as humans and as a community and as human relations and whatever you want to call it. And music has always been my tool to connect with myself, to connect with other people, to project my feelings and my opinions. And it's also been the thing that when I hit some low points in life, music was always the thing that picked me up, or at least like communicated with me what I was going through, and made me feel less alone and more like a human, and not like so weird about things. And I hope that the music I'm doing now, for anyone who's listening, can project that kind of, that boost of confidence or connection, or like whatever it is, because people like us who are total outcasts, and we've been in this punk or metal community, whatever you want to call it, like all of our lives, and we've always felt like we're the weirdos, we're the outcasts, we're the people not fitting in. I just want to make music that make people who don't fit in perfectly beautiful, and that you will feel that you're not so alone, that there are other people like you around the world that are going through what you're going through. And hopefully some song from my album will brighten up someone's day, and that's all I could wish for.
Nice. Thanks for sharing all that. Yeah, it's definitely a very disappointing and sad fascist time in the world, like worse than I can remember in my whole lifetime. And I'm old enough to remember Reagan in the 80s. So really bad right now. But at the same time, what I love about this project and this band, and you're the leader of the band, which is really awesome and exciting, I think, for you. But I think what I love is the music. It's like a very cool dichotomy. Obviously, I'm gonna butcher the Swedish, but the album is "Welcome to the Underground," and the themes of the album are like really revolutionary and just power to the people, and joining together and rising up. And I love all this positive, these sort of positive themes of overcoming adversity. But at the same time, the music is hella catchy, right? It's like, I know that you love the Ramones and the Stooges and classic early punk and hardcore punk. Is a big part of your DNA, and I love that kind of mix of the messaging and the catchy tunes.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, and I've been butchering your English language for a long time now, and I've got no plans on stopping that. So you just have to bear with me. Well, as you said, my music with Gatuplan is really a mix of a lot of the music that I'm inspired by. A lot of the classic melodic punk with some garage rock thrown into it, a lot of pop, like melodies and pop sensibilities, even in the lyrics, because there's some of that sort of pop subjects that I'm singing about, and also maybe some ska stuff like that I really like, and I just wanted to combine it. And I'm doing it in Swedish because a big part of my musical DNA is Swedish punk rock. I grew up with classic Swedish punk rock, and that really shaped me as a person. And to be honest, I don't really feel confident in my English like confident enough to be a lead singer in English. And I have to also say that speaking to you now, or doing like this press day that I'm doing now, it's the first time I've been speaking English since last summer. So I'm warming up here, so you have to excuse me.
You
But
can practice on us all day long. It's
oh,
fine.
thank you.
And I'm
All right.
from America and I still speak terribly. I'm from New York originally. So, and I live in California now. So everybody immediately out, they say I talk with my hands, I'm weird. I like talk too much. They know immediately, oh, this guy's trouble. We can tell. So don't worry about it. We're all, it's like any kind of recovery program, music, underground music would take you in any and all conditions. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you
You're
very
always
much.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
And you know what I would say, like, so obviously, like, I don't understand, I don't know Swedish, but at the same time, like I said, through the titles and just the
Yeah.
gist of the songs themselves, I got a feeling about what you're trying to deliver. And plus, again, like I said, if you know the history and all the stuff you've supported and been involved with and other bands you've been in, it's clear to see the path, right? It's the same straight line through all your music, yeah, in your career. So I think it's all good. I think American, and it's, again, like I said, it's super catchy. I think your Western audiences will catch on, even if we don't know all the words. Maybe we'll learn them.
Yeah, yeah, it's been, like 25, 30 years of like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, and I'm gonna continue doing that as long as I live. But there's room for other things in music as well. There can't be too much politics, but there can be too little of other things. So therefore, I'm also writing songs about girls, about love, about my love for music. I'm writing songs that have a more open and positive sort of vibe to it. And then there's the fist in the air kind of call to arm songs as well, and some songs with some social critique, or more like specified on things. um I listen to a lot of music where I don't understand all the words. Like, I've I'm I learned a lot of English when I was younger from American and British punk rock, or metal, or whatever I was into. But I listen to a lot of music or bands where I don't understand all the lyrics because I'm not fluent. I don't understand the language, be it like I'm listening to uh, Kraftwerk, or Einstürzende Neubauten, or Ratos de Porão, or Mano Negra, or Mano Chao, or like stuff like that, where I get a few words, but then the music is so good and so powerful, so I don't understand all of the lyrics, but I get it. And I hope that what I'm doing can uh, work like that on whoever's listening from a different language, like everyone who's not speaking Swedish, because we're very few people doing that. But it's also, for me, it becomes more of a kind of a personal approach to doing music as now when I'm doing it in Swedish, I guess, somehow. And also taking all those like international influences that I have and putting it in this Swedish language concept or context, um, it is an exciting thing to try for me.
Right, you're definitely stretching out here as the front person, and as the main, this is your project, and doing all the press and putting it, wrote all the songs, putting yourself out front. I do think there's a lot of great musicianship here. There's wonderful keyboard parts and backup vocals and little subtle things that I listened to and I caught over repeat listens. I got to spend a little time with the album
Yeah,
the last few days
cool,
before we chatted.
cool.
So I love all the little subtleties. So it's like, on one hand, punk used to be a dirty word, right? It was like, oh, they're punks, or oh, it's punk music, it's not that serious. But like, I think you showed that you have a lot of musical depth here on this record and a lot of things that you could pull from across your career and stuff you've probably never tried before also.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much. Well, yeah, there's a lot of musical influences and inspiration from various songs and styles of music and other artists and all that. But I also have this amazing backing band. Like they're so good. And it's a very humbling experience because I've been putting out music for the last 25 years ish, and these guys and girls, they just play circles around me, and it's very humbling and just wonderful because, as you said, I write all the songs and I write the lyrics and the melodies and the I do the overall like production and all that, but I do just like very basic demos at home on my phone or my tablet, and then I send the songs to the musicians, and I have no illusions that I'm gonna be like, you know, that I'm gonna have a better concept of drumming or keyboards or guitar playing than these people have because they've been doing it for so long. So we actually rehearse as a band before, and they throw in their ideas, and they uh they have a lot of musical impact and influence over my songs, and I look at that as a big privilege, as coming from my perspective.
Nice. I appreciate that. Thank you. Another exciting thing about the record, I'm sure people are going to pay attention to, is obviously a mini reunion with Dennis. And, obviously you were in Noise Conspiracy. You must know Dennis for, I'm sure, a very long time. And of course, Dennis is from Refused. And not only, you're now on equal footing with him. You guys are trading lot, like that song is insane. It's definitely one of the best songs on the record. And it's so cool to hear the two of you together again, but especially now in this new kind of light. I think it must be very special for you, right?
It is. I love Dennis as a person, as an artist, as a friend. He's the best. I'm very lucky to call him my friend and to be able to do music with him at this point in my life, because you have to understand, we had Noise Conspiracy together for 11 years. It's a pretty big chunk of my life. I'm 46. I'm turning 46 today, actually. So there we go.
Oh my goodness, happy birthday. I had no idea. That's awesome. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you know, we had a very intense creative relationship together, and we played, I think, almost 800 shows together, and like 5 albums, and during like going from like very harsh like underground conditions, playing squats and touring in vans and doing sleeping on floors, to doing like the big productions with Rick Rubin and all that kind of stuff, and touring all over the world together. A lot of people, when that, a lot of bands, when they break up, it's like it's like a divorce, and they become bitter enemies, and it's just a big falling out and all that. And I'm so grateful that didn't happen between the two of us. Like, I want to call him one of my best friends in life, and I love him dearly, and I'm so grateful to have a guy like that having my back, and I would like to hope that he thinks the same about me. And every time we meet, it's just like, it's like we've never been apart, and we talk about the things we always talked about, and we relate to the same things. And that's what that song is all about too. It's our background together, because we're both like, you know we're Scandinavian hillbillies, me and Dennis. Basically, we're from the sticks. We grew up far from urban culture, and far from trends, and far from anything like that, and we made our own thing with our own lives, and took matters into our own hands. And it's that song is sort of a tribute to that. And yeah, I'm very happy to have him on the album. And I mean, who knows what the future will bring. I'm very I'm I'm also very, very happy that he's doing so well with Refused and Fake Names and Invasion and everything else. He's keeping busy. And that's an inspiration for me as well.
That's awesome. I got to meet Dennis one time in Brooklyn when he was giving a conversation about the history of punk with Steve Blush. And he's on my bucket list of people to interview. So maybe you can help me get my interview with him one day.
Oh yeah, sure,
I've been
sure.
chasing him forever. I jest, but a little bit serious. I
Yeah,
also
sure.
want to say, as much as I love this record, I want to even take it back a step further. I'm going to do the thing you're never supposed to do, but I'm just going to say, like, again, I'm from New York, which everybody's tired of hearing me say, but you can see this is Over My Bed, right? Ramones. And
Yeah.
I love the song. Like, I love the song about Dee Dee, right? Because I was one of my first heroes was Dee Dee Ramone, and I'm sure yours too. It's obvious, not just from your playing, but the music, the new album. So I love that song. That was actually the first thing that perked me up about this project in the first place a couple of years ago. And I love that, you call out your heroes. There's a song on the new record about Umeå and the punk scene there, right? Like about your upbringing and how you came up. So I love that, while you have, there's all these different things you're singing and talking about, but I love that there's this history that kind of like a history lesson from your life that you're sharing with the audience. That's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of reference lyrics, and words that people, even if you're not speaking Swedish, you can pick up certain words or expressions. Like, one song is called Umeå Hardcore, and I made a song called Dee Dee Ramone. Dee Dee Ramone was actually a love song about someone, and it was written for someone, because I wanted to write a romantic sort of punk rock love song. And I was like, who was the best at doing that? And yeah, that was Dee Dee. So that was like the main, like, just using his name as the chorus in a punk rock love song was to sort of both like express what I was feeling, but also connect to the history of punk rock and punk rock lyrics. But like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna write this romantic love song, and my inspiration for that is this like bipolar bisexual drug addict that ran around with a switchblade, and it was like, okay, he's my romantic ideal. Wait, no wonder I'm not doing so great on that department in my life, but I tried.
We're all trying. I get it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for explaining all that, and I appreciate it. It's not lost on me that this is again a wild time. Things are reopening. We are getting tours and festivals, but it's still kind of precarious. So, what
Very
do you
much.
have? Do you have a plan to try to start touring with the band more, and maybe play the rest of Europe at some point, and maybe get over here to America?
I would love to. The thing is that, like, we're still living in post COVID. Like, a lot of tours were like backed up. A lot of promoters and clubs and venues are struggling, and there's a lot of like catching up to do. So I haven't been able to book so much, or to connect so much. And also, I moved back to Sweden after living 9 years abroad. I'm rebuilding my life, and hopefully this music will help me and move things forward. But we'll see what happens. You never know what the future will hold. Will present. So I'm optimistic. I'm trying to be, at least.
Good. I hope so. I hope it happens. I think this music would be amazing to hear live with your whole
Thank
band.
you so much.
Just the last couple of questions for you. You've been terrific. I really appreciate you. I love seeing this wall of records behind you. I have a podcast also about vinyl. So I was going to ask you if you have a favorite record ever, like your favorite number one record of all time in your collection, or that you love the most.
Oh no, that was a tough one. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, that varies from day to day. But I'm a big record collector. This is just a part of it. This is because I got my couch in front, and then there's another wall. So I'm sharing a very small apartment with about 4,000 LPs. So that's yeah, that's my life.
Living
But
the dream. Music is a good best friend to have, let me tell you. And just the last thing I wanted to ask you, because it's just on my mind. August would be 10 years since you had joined Against Me, and I
yeah,
feel like the last record is now getting farther and farther away, like 8, 9 years almost. So I just
yeah.
wanted to ask about when you joined Against Me, if you have any, it's like I said, like an anniversary is coming from when you joined, and you joined it kind of the band was, surging, right? So I wanted to ask if you had any, your fondest memory, or, something that stands out to you about that first initial, when you first joined the band.
I mean, for me, it was such a big fan to join a band that I had been such a big fan of for a long time. That was surreal and mind blowing. It's like, when Jason Newsted joined Metallica or something like that. It's that kind of success story for me. And yes, I did join when the band was sort of having a second spring, a second wind of success, and we toured a lot. And I would say things like playing the Letterman show or playing World Pride in Toronto, that was big for me. That was big things, but there was a lot of cool things that happened during that time for sure. But yeah, it's 10 years ago. I don't even want to think of that because it's, oh my God, it's just, ah, where did time go? It's
Right. I'm
crazy.
a music journalist. All we do is count time and count anniversaries, and a lot of that we do. So thank you for
Yeah,
that, answering that. I appreciate you. It is so nice to meet you and so great to hear from you. And this album's awesome. I hope everybody checks it out. Gatuplan is the new band, and the new album is out this week as we record this. This will probably run a little later in the month, but I really appreciate you, and it's wonderful to talk to you.
I appreciate you taking your time to talk to me and listen to my music. It means the world to me. Thank you so much.